Hey everybody, look at the newest member of our hydroponic gardening system. Hey, if you want to know a step-by-step guide on how to do this yourself, please check it out. Hey everybody, it's Matt the Garden Guy. Today we're going to be doing some hydroponic planting. I'm going to be planting some of the stuff that I have growing behind me. I have a tomato plant that I'm going to be putting into my pint-sized jar, mason jars here. And I'm going to start getting this into my hydroponic garden system that I have. So if you want to learn more about this, come watch me. I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so what we're going to be working on today is my tomato plant. So we want a tomato plant that is pretty large. This one is roughly, I would say, 3 to 4 inches. And also a good thing to note, wait until we have 3 sets of leaves coming off. That means we're gonna have a pretty good root system in here when it's probably 3 to 4 inches and we have these leaves coming off here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this out of the pot and try to retain as much of the roots as we can. So I'm just gonna take this out, kind of break it apart, and then I'm gonna have my roots here. Now, I'm not gonna try to mess around with this anymore because I don't wanna damage any of the roots. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this over to the sink and I'm gonna try to rinse as much of the dirt off as possible. All right, so over at the sink here, we got our roots here and I'm just gonna spray the water on top of it and try to get, like I said, try to get as much of the dirt off of the roots as I can. Try not to mess around with the roots too much because they are very brittle and we don't wanna break any of these awesome roots. Also, try not to touch the roots that much. Continue just to try to get as much of that dirt off as we can. And I sometimes use the sprayer here to try to get that dirt off. Now that we have our tomato plant here, it's mostly all free of any dirt. Look at our awesome root system. This thing is huge. This thing is probably a little bit taller than our plant. That's awesome. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna grab one of our net pots here. Right here. What I did, if you see right there, I cut the bottom of that out. It helps me to get our plant root through there. So take this and we're gonna try to feed it right through that hole there. Might be a little tricky. Hopefully I can do this on the first shot. Otherwise, I might have to take I'm gonna have to, there we go. I got it through here. So now what we're doing is we're gonna be planting this in our pot. And we're gonna use these clay pebbles right here. Now, what I do is I put my plant, so the very bottom of it, it's about halfway into the pot here. So I'm gonna go back on my bench here and work on this. So what I like to do so I don't damage my root here, I'm gonna go ahead and put my pot in the cup. And I'm gonna scoop out some of these clay pebbles. One note, these clay pebbles, mason jars, these net pots, and the fertilizer that I use are all on my Amazon page. I will put that link in the descriptions for you. So now that I have my plant in here how I want it, I'm gonna grab my pebbles and I'm just gonna dump them in here. There you go. I'm gonna grab a little bit more from my hand here. Kind of, I'll come up close and show you guys here. So now you see our plant is in here. You might have to monkey around with a little bit to get a little bit more sturdy in there. So note with these clay pebbles, these are supposed to help mimic the ground and they're also gonna support that plant. They're also gonna help it so it drains really well. We're not using any dirt, so we don't need anything. So we're not using any dirt, so we need these pebbles to help support it. These pebbles are also gonna help with all of the water flow. They're not gonna retain any moisture or any water. So we need all of our water to stay inside here in the bottom so our roots can suck that up. So I might have to pless around with this a little bit more, push it down so that plant can stay upright. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and fill this up with water. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill it up again about right there. So half of the pot is covered, and the reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to add some of my fertilizer solution. So I'm going to go get some water in this. So I have a cup here with water. I just use standard tap water, same water that I water my garden with. Go ahead and fill it up. All right, so now I said when you use this fertilizer solution. So the directions for this says you need to let it mix and let it sit for 15 minutes before you apply it. So I started this before my video, so I'm there. So when I picked it up, it was kind of sitting on the bottom, so I'm just gonna give it a really good shake. And then I'm just gonna open it up and I'm just gonna pour it in here. And I'm gonna pour it in here so that the water is up to the top, and I put it right to where this bottom part of the lid. Let me show you really quick. So I put it so it's right to there. So I'm gonna pour it in. And there we go. Put my lid back on the fertilizer. Just like that, extremely simple. We have our tomato plant transplanted into our mason jar hydroponic system. The system is pretty much maintenance free. All that you need to do is make sure you keep it up with water, and every few weeks, go ahead and put some of that fertilizer in here, which you can get too. Because you can get a pH tester. This will be on my Amazon store too. But this pH tester will help you test the water inside your mason jars here. That way you know that you're not, that way you know that the pH level is not being affected at all. And just like any other systems, you could have transplant shock with your plants, and you're just gonna have to know that's just what it is. I've planted probably 12 of these plants so far, knock on wood. I haven't had any transplant shock, but it could happen. So that doesn't mean you failed. That just means you gotta try it again. So yeah, there is my complete step-by-step guide on how to add a plant that you've already started into your hydroponic system. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'd ask that you please give this a thumbs up. Hey, and if you're new to this, or if you haven't already, I'd please ask that you consider subscribing to my channel. Hey, and until next time, keep growing, and I'll talk to you later.